Good morning, everybody. We are live. Lots to talk about. Hope you're ready to do it. Let's do this. Good morning, everybody. I hope your Wednesday is going as well as mine. It's hump day. Oh, man, I tell you, we're going to do it. We're going to make it through another week. We're going to make it through. Can you believe it's almost September? We are 11 days away from September. 11 days away from our first burn month. I'm excited. I'm not going to bullshit you. I'm excited. I love fall, and I've made up my mind. I don't care what these asinine jackasses in the Trump regime do. I am not going to let them steal this holiday from me like they did the last one. I'm just not going to do it. I am just not going to do it. I am going to make a good holiday for my family. Is it going to be less than I normally splurge? Yeah, but that's not what I'm going to do. That's not what I mean by making it a good holiday. I'm going to go into this fall determined to make this fall a family fall. We're going to bake more good tasting stuff. We're going to spend more time together. It's not going to be about buying shit. It's just not. It's going to be about doing things and getting things moving. That's what we're going to do. That is what we're going to do. So let's dig right into it. Let's dig right into the news. Let's talk about some of the things that are going on. You know, I told you one of the things about this whole DC thing, yes, it's a distraction from the Epstein files. It is. It's 100% a distraction from the Epstein file. There was no crime in DC to speak with. They're at record lows. This is low as crime's been in modern history. But I told you one of the big things that is happening and going to happen, one of the root purposes of them doing this in DC was that they can turn around and they can say all this good news we've got coming out of DC, the plunging crime, everything that Mayor Muriel Bowser and you know the DC police have been getting done, they're going to claim they did. On that note, here is Doug Burgum.
President Trump's leadership in turning D.C. around, the changes that have occurred in just a week. I mean, carjackings down over 80%, robberies down over 40%, restaurant reservations up 30%. It's a dramatic change.
Okay, now a couple things here. And you know what? I don't even hear any more about him. You understand where he's going with this, right? We're not going to listen to a minute and a half of this bullshit. There is no way for them to have crime statistics in a week. There just isn't. That's not how statistics work. So everything he's saying that's going on in DC was going on in DC. The lower crime and all of that was great. Now, the weird thing that caught me about this was he said restaurant reservations are up. Didn't that strike you as just a little weird, a little odd? George Allen, nice shirt, Paul, and a cool hat, man. You got a few bucks. Oh, well, thank you, George. I appreciate you. You know, you folks sent me a bunch of emails, said, hey, quit just wearing the white shirt all the time. So this is for you. It's it's the community. It's our show. So yeah, you wanted more color. We're going to do more color. But yeah, I mean, didn't that strike you as weird? Restaurant reservations are up. So I checked. The reason they specifically said that is no, restaurant reservations are down. They are very down in DC. In fact, the residents of DC are quite pissed off because all of this crap that Trump is doing with putting federal agents on it is crushing the DC economy. Restaurants especially. And these Republicans, they like to eat out. And they don't want these people pissed off. They don't. But there isn't a damn thing that they can do about it. They're already pissed off. They're already seeing what's happening here. So yeah, enjoy eating that plate of food that someone that's really angry at you made for you, Republicans. Because, folks, nobody wants to do this shit. Nobody wants to put up with this authoritarian fascist bullshit. I love the way the people of DC are handling it. They're just yelling at the cops. They're just, everybody's like, look, there was no freaking crime here. Every time they put a camera in someone's faces, I don't know what the hell they're talking about. Everything was great here. This is a great place to live. But we had to do this authoritarian bullshit. And guess what? People don't like it. And it's not just DC. Diane Bree Garage in the house. Thank you. Good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. Thank you for supporting the show. But yeah, it's not just that. I'm going to play a little. This is a little wonky. Forgive me. It's off of Facebook. And Facebook doesn't have a really great media player. So yeah, just bear with me here. It's not just DC. This is from Maine News. I follow news every platform I'm on. I gravitate to local news sources, people talking about local issues. I spend way too much time. When I say I do this full time, I do this in overtime and double time and triple time. This is what I do. It's just sit and absorb news from different sources. But this is a great account on Facebook. If you want to add them, it's Maine News.
Canadian visitors to Maine were down again in July. The latest Customs and Border Protection data is in, and it shows a 28% drop in crossings at the Maine border compared to July of 2024. That's 108,000 fewer Canadian visitors to Maine in July. Year to date, crossings are down 25%. Month to month, the drop-off has ticked down just about 2% each month since April, which is better than the alternative. Now, August is historically the biggest month for Canadian travel to Maine, and if the trend continues, we're looking at another 106,000 fewer Canadian visitors to Maine this month. That would put us at 500,000 fewer Canadians spending their money in Maine this year than compared to last year. Crossings at Jackman, Maine were down 33% from last July. Fort Kent was down 23%, Madawaska was down 30%, Van Buren was down.
You get the idea. Same thing on the southern border. The economies on the southern border, cities on the southern border are reeling. They are reeling. Economies on the northern border are reeling. No one wants to put up with this authoritarian bullshit, and they don't have to. Canada is an amazing country, folks. If you ever wanted to go visit Alaska but don't want to have to travel that far, go to Canada. It's just as beautiful. It is just as beautiful. And you won't have to put up with Sarah Palin and seeing Russia from her house. I mean, it's a beautiful country. They don't have to come here, folks. They don't. Randy Oliver in the house. Nobody wants to travel here. Yeah, you're seeing it in Vegas. Las Vegas is just getting pummeled right now. They're down, some estimates are down, 25%. In travel to Vegas. Nobody wants this stuff, so they've got to trot people out like Dave, like Doug Burgum, that'll sit there and just lie. He'll just lie. Omniscient Sphinx, what's up, Paul? I welcome the fall weather with getting a cardigan. I am telling you, I am dying for it. I have so much to do outside. I have so much to do outside. And I got to tell you, this is the first year that I've actually felt old. I mean, I've always been kind of a bulldozer about the way I do things. I mean, I would work all day long in jobs that'll just break your back. I did. I came up in a blue collar background. I will work all day long in jobs that'll just break your back. I'll come home, take a shower, put my clothes on, and I'd go out dancing. Man, I can't do that anymore. I just can't. I just can't. This is really the first year that I have been working outside and quit. I mean, before the job's done, just quit. I mean, I tell you, I am looking forward to this fall. I really am. Stop coddling stupid. The fact that they deployed only to safe, wealthy neighborhoods is hilarious. All adjective and brought their own cameras. We showed that in the last show. Brought their own cameras to photo op this shit. They think they're running a television show. The problem is people can't eat off of a television show. We're going to talk more about the economy here in a minute. I want to jump to this. This is something else that's just mind-blowing. How open they are about the racism and the bigotry. It is just incredible what these people, what they are doing publicly. I've been to the Smithsonian. I love Washington, D.C. I really do. It is an amazing place. It is incredible. And if you have never been to Washington, D.C., go. Go. You will walk around that city. You know, people that live there every day, they're used to it to a degree. It's not, that it doesn't blow their minds anymore. But when you get there, if you have never been, and just ask the people in the comments, we've got a lot of people in the comments that both travel and have worked in Washington, D.C., and it is an incredible city. It really is. One of the major aspects of it is the Smithsonian. Right off the mall, it's just incredible. It is just a row of museums on both sides of the mall. It is beyond amazing. You've got air and space. It is incredible. You can spend, even if you're not a museum person, you could spend 3 or 4 days in just the Smithsonian alone. But yeah, you've got this overt racism. Trump says the Smithsonian focuses too much on how bad slavery was. And I'm going to tell you, you're going to get people on the right that try to change the meaning of that statement. And what they're going to try to say is, and I can tell you because I know these people, what they're going to try to say is, well, what he's saying is too much of the Smithsonian focuses on that one aspect of our history. That's not what he's saying here. It is not. And I can tell you it's not because I've been to the Smithsonian. You will not believe the exhibits there. It is not all focused on slavery or that aspect of our history. There is one small section of the Smithsonian that is dedicated to Black history. It is a fraction of the Smithsonian, a very small fraction of the Smithsonian's budget. And of that section that focuses on African American history, only a small portion of it focuses on the slavery aspect. They actually focus on many other very positive things among the African American community and African American history. That is one of the challenges of African American history, and it is everybody wants to gravitate to some negative thing when they talk about African American history, and African American historians hate that because there's so many positive contributions to this country that African Americans have made. This is bullshit. folks. This is just straight up bigotry bullshit. That is just a message. We're going to whitewash history. That is what that statement is. They're just telling you out front to the bigots, you've been made to feel bad because, you like your Confederate flag and, that you should be able to say the N word and you should be able to, all of that bullshit. That's all that is I keep telling you, at the heart of the Republican Party is bigotry. And this isn't a dog whistle, it's a bullhorn. Colleen Sarah won't back down. Tour E. Warren, Elizabeth Warren, Maxwell Frost, Adam Mockler, 823 in Omaha, Nebraska. All right. Email me some pics. That's going to be freaking awesome. I love Omaha. My people are from that region, by the way. Historically, actually, we're from everywhere. We had a weird. I don't know if I ever told you we came in through Massachusetts, went down to the West Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee area, and then from there we went up to Ohio. We kind of branched. Our family went up to Ohio and Iowa, and then from Iowa up to Wisconsin, stayed in Wisconsin for a long time, then moved back to Iowa, moved from Ohio to Iowa. Kind of concentrated in the Ohio, Nebraska area around Omaha, and then moved, and then my branch of the family moved down to Texas. I'm telling you, I got people everywhere. I do. Lori Yates, he probably does feel that way because that's how racists feel. Yeah. Amen. Thank you for supporting the show. I'm really grateful. But yeah, amen. Yep. Jordan, Trump and Republicans are trying to bring back slavery. I am telling you, that is not far from the truth. That is not far from the truth. These are not good people, folks. These are the worst of the worst. Spicy Jester, thank you, Texas Paul, for sharing your rage about the attack on interracial marriage. I was wiping tears. I'm white and my wife is black. She's my best friend. Diversity makes me feel rich and not money. Racists do not love themselves. No, they do not. And Spicy Jester, I got to tell you something. It is so difficult to get people to understand that are all white, that this is really happening. They want to shrug it off. No, that can't happen. This is because they've got no freaking skin in the game. They don't understand just the core bigotry in these people. They don't get it. And the pettiness and their attempt to control. Look, narratives are everything. That's one of the themes of today's show. We're going to talk about the Democrats at the end of the show a little bit. Democratic politics at the end of the show a little bit. We're going to talk about what the Democrats are doing here in Texas here in just a minute. But Democratic politics and momentum and controlling that narrative and the importance of it. But this happened. Tube Kurt says slavery is the first target in museums, but soon will come for organized labor, suffrage movements, etc. Yeah. When they start rewriting that story, they're going to rewrite it all, brother. Thank you. Very well said. Very well said. Very well said. And thank you for being here, man. Love to see so many new people in the audience. It's me, says there's human DNA in my clam chowder, said I do not know what that means, but you're freaking me out, brother. You are freaking me out. Marcia Klepper, I'm an Air Force brat. We were stationed in Washington, D.C. Daddy and Mom took my brother and me to all the sites every weekend, including the Smithsonian. It is an incredible place, isn't it? It is one of the... You want to feel pride in your country? Go to D.C. Just do it. Go to D.C. 1 second. I need a swig. My throat's getting dry. But this happened. Trump administration revoked security clearances of 37 current and former government officials. Yeah, that just happened. That's about controlling the narrative, folks. That isn't just petty. This whole article is written about, oh, Trump is settling beefs. He's settling scores. No, they're controlling the narrative, because I don't know how much you've paid attention to how these stories get to you, but very often, people don't go to the press. They don't. And especially when you're talking about something classified, that's just a flat out crime. When people are having alarm bells going off and they need to talk to somebody about it, they will talk to a colleague, a former colleague, and they will explain what's going on. And since that former colleague has a security clearance, they're not breaking the law. It's not a crime. This is not something they can be prosecuted for. That colleague will digest it. And these are the talking heads that you see on the news media. They'll go to the news media and they will sanitize it. They won't share anything classified, but they will say, hey, look, there's something going on here. And then the news media will start asking questions. They are trying to break that loop. That's what this is. Controlling the narrative, cutting off those accesses for information to get out. They're trying to go dark with their administration so they can do all of the corrupt, nasty shit they want to do. And it blindsides us. And it will blindside us. What that means is that the news you will get, rather than what you get now, which is, hey, they're going to do this and this could happen, this terrible thing could happen. No, the news you're going to get is, oh, this terrible thing happened. And this is how it happened. Which are two very different things, folks. They are very different things. Lincoln, erase Black history, but condone Confederate flags. Germany banned Nazi flags because of what it represents. I know. People say, Paul, you should run for president. You don't want me to run for president. You don't want me to run for president. You really don't. I am not these people. The first thing I would do is declare a state of emergency. I would build gallows on the National Mall, and I would hang sons of bitches. I would scrap every Civil War memorial out there. I would. I don't care if it's a Civil War battlefield. I don't care what it is. I would scrap every bit of it. I'm telling you, people, this would not be a time of peace. Lincoln. Pardon me. John Leger, glad to see you here, my friend. On the road. You're on the road, or I'm on the road. Who's on the road, John? I'm guessing you're on the road, brother. I'm guessing you're on the road. But yeah, I'm telling you, folks, it's these little things that are just blips on the radar on your nightly news. They don't focus on them for 2 days, 3 days. These little things are important. This will not stop with these 37 people. They are trying to go dark. That's what's happening. Now, is it the end of the world? No. You know me, I'm not a fearmonger. I'm not a fearmonger. It just means there's going to be a lot more pain, is what it means. Because what I'm telling you about how this changes the information we get, it's exactly that. Instead of someone raising red flags, talking to someone that with a security clearance, and this gets discussed before the damage happens, it will change to the damage will happen, and then we will discuss it. It doesn't mean we won't overcome it. It just means there will be a lot more pain because of this. Remember that when you're judging, when you walk into a voting booth, do I vote for Republicans or do I vote for Democrats? Well, this is the way Republicans do things, folks. This is the way they do it. They want to do it in the dark. They want to cause their pain, and then fuck you. Try to fix it if you can. We'll try to stop you. Stop coddling stupid. It's better if we low road folks stay in the trenches where we belong. Amen. 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 That's exactly what I keep telling people. You want me here. You don't want me there. The shit I would do if I had power, good Lord, I'd make you cringe. I would. This happened here in Texas. This has been the big news story. And I got to tell you, I lost my shit a little bit yesterday. I did. I went down to the cussing pond. Let's talk about what's happened, then we'll talk about that. If you don't know, this is Nicole Collier. Not all the Democrats have gotten back yet. Some are still on their way back to Texas. Let's start at the beginning. Republicans wanted to push through a bullshit gerrymandered map that attacks minority districts, makes them all white, all white, all white. They're splitting them up. They're splitting up minority districts to get white representation. Democrats broke quorum, which is in our Constitution to do. It's not a crime. It's not a bad thing. The talking point on the right is you get fired if you didn't do your job. Well, you know, breaking quorum is your job if that's they're doing their job. Breaking quorum is their job. It is the last fail safe. It is the backup shoot. It is it's when all else fails and your opposition is doing something criminal and immoral and you can't stop it any other way because you're the minority and you don't have power. But yeah, to the right wingers saying, well, you'd get fired for not doing it. Well, they were doing their job and they did it at great expense, folks. I just want to reiterate to some of the new folks that are here, a Texas legislator makes $7,200 a year from that job. So every Texas legislator, that's their backup job. That's their backup gig. It's not their primary job. That's part of the problem here in Texas. The other is the whole Reconstruction, the way they design the government after Reconstruction and stupid, everything requires a fucking constitutional amendment. The Constitution in the state of Texas, if it fell on you, would kill you. It is ridiculous the way we have to govern in this state. And despite what most people think, Greg Abbott is not the most powerful person in this state. That's not how it works in the state of Texas. The most powerful person in the state of Texas is the lieutenant governor. That is Dan Patrick. He is the most powerful person in this state. The governor has to ask for things in this state. That goes back to the Civil War Reconstruction era. So yeah, the Democrats broke quorum at great expense to themselves. I want you to think about this, folks. They had to leave the state to break quorum. They had to leave their families. They're only compensated $7,200 a year. Now, I want you to think about how much that cost to leave the state. The food, the travel, everything costs money. There were people trying to help them out because they know this will freaking break you fast. It will. I mean, these people had to leave their jobs, their primary jobs. Remember, legislator is not their primary job. It's only a backup gig in the state of Texas, designed that way on purpose. So all of these people that broke quorum had to leave their jobs. And then that burdened their spouses with their families and everything else. So you can imagine this was not easy for these Democrats. This was hard. It was hard. But they did it because it was the right thing to do. And they did it knowing that eventually they would fail. That's where the road will diverge. If you're here, you're not here to get bullshitted. No one comes here to get lied to because I will not lie to you. See, Greg Abbott, he doesn't care how much of our tax money he spends on this. He wants his map. He's going to get his map because he will call special session after special session after special session after special session. Now, what they don't want is they don't want this delayed. They don't want conversations about it. because they want to control the narrative. We're inevitable. We did it. That's it. That's it. Next thing, talk about the next thing. The longer people talk about this, the more it turns against them. So they don't want to talk about this. They want this over with, which makes this next move just even stupider on their part. They're gonna win, folks. They have the power of the purse in this state and can spend as much as they want to spend, calling special session after special session after special session. And the Democrats must endure losing their jobs. All of the expenses their families incur by them not being there. Are you following me here? The Democrats, God bless them, man. This was not free. This hurt, but they did it anyways. And they did it knowing eventually they're going to lose because they're trying to buy us time to have these conversations. And it has worked. It has worked. People are pissed about what's going on here in Texas. They are pissed. And the Republicans know it. So they're panicking. So what did they do? The head of the legislature down here, a guy that you don't even need to know his name because you won't remember it tomorrow. He said, we're going to, as a rule in the legislature, say a Democrat must have a police escort 24 hours a day. Yeah. And they must consent to it because the Texas Department of Public Safety said, which is our state troopers here in Texas, says we can't do that legally. They'll sue us and win. Joan Cortez says, your show gives us hope. The people are pissed. Crowds are getting bigger. Stephen Miller's name and face should be everywhere. Need some big billboards. And they're doing it. There are billboards everywhere. They're putting billboards up in red states. Good call, my friend. Good call. So they hit these Democrats. This was their plan. They hit these Democrats. They said, you can't leave unless you sign this consent form so that we can have this officer follow you. Some of the Democrats signed it because they're like, oh, fuck it. This is illegal. We'll sue about this. I don't give a shit. This is going to be great. We're going to sue you over this and win. This is going to be all over the news that you had us followed. You wasted money. You know, they were looking forward to that fight. And Nicole Collier bravely said, fuck you. Fuck you. You don't want to let me leave? I'm not signing. I am not signing. They said, we'll have you arrested if you don't sign it. We'll have you arrested and brought back here. She said that you can't do. That's a crime. That's a federal crime. You can't do that. So she dared him. She stayed on the floor, drawing attention to this horrible, horrible thing that Republicans are doing. And much to her, again, this was not easy for her. There's a camera there 24 hours a day. Okay. This woman has to sit under a camera 24 hours a day. She has to sleep with a camera watching her. I mean, this is not easy what she's doing. The intersection with Amy Manuel. I'm currently arguing with another Democrat on Facebook who said Dems need to stop crying and start winning. Wasted weeks out of state when it was inevitable. Folks, it worked. It worked. It bought people time to discuss it, to discuss what they were doing, to make it a national issue. We moved the entire national the National Democratic Party to gerrymandering, something I've been pushing for years now. The Texas Democratic Party, Kendall Scudder, and every one of these Democrats made it happen. They gave Gavin Newsom the cover he needed to do what he's doing in California right now. It was worth it. Even though we knew we were going to lose, it was worth it. It was worth it. Jordan, Texas looks more and more like North Korea. That is exactly what I'm talking about. That is exactly what I'm talking about. Narratives matter. Let me have Nicole Collier explain to you what she's doing.
Hey, it's Texas State Representative Nicole Collier coming to you from the Texas House Chamber because the Republicans have locked me in here for the last 24 hours. Let me tell you, this all started 2 weeks ago when my fellow Democrats took a stand to object and oppose and resist Trump's Texas takeover. So I will continue to fight and resist and stand against and defend our democracy with our other fellow warriors in the Democratic Party. Thank you. Don't give up, never give in, and keep the fight. Hey, it's Texas State Representative Nicole Collier coming to you from the Texas House Chamber.
You want to know how crazy this was? When this broke nationally, some nutball called a bomb threat in, and they cleared the Capitol and forced her to stay. Yeah. There was a bomb threat somebody called in. They cleared the Capitol and they forced her to stay. If you don't think that narrative works, if you don't think that that wakes people up, that this is all worth it, friend, you don't understand politics. Now, I tell you about bots. I tell you about fake left people. What was the narrative that the fake left pushed? The same people that tried to hamstring us over Gaza, the same, these are not real people for the most part. There are some followers in there that start chanting along. What did they take away from it? They said, well, why did Democrats sign it? Not talking about what Republicans are doing, not talking about the bravery of Nicole Collier, not talking about the sacrifice the Democrats made. Oh, no, they flooded social media with Democrats signed it because they're weak. Yeah. Yeah, they did that. The fake left did that. They work for Republicans, folks. They work for Republicans. And we have to end that. We do. Narratives and momentum are the most important thing. Narratives and momentum are the most important thing in politics. And if you don't believe me, I was going to save this for the end of the show, but we'll talk about it now. If you don't believe me that these negative attacks on Democrats and the Democratic Party have an effect, folks, there's one thing that we have always dominated Republicans in, and that's because of you. Bots can't vote. Bots can't volunteer. People do it. And because we have always had people like you that get involved with your local Democratic Party that help, we dominate in voter registration. Here in Texas, we have massive work to do on voter turnout, but that's a cultural thing that's going to take time. But that cultural thing is exactly what I'm talking about. And it's starting to bite you in the ass, not just Texas, because this just happened, folks. We've seen a sharp decline in voter registration. Yeah, that's really happening. I don't mean to scare you, but that's really happening. And I can tell you there is one reason and one reason only. When the Democrats were doing such amazing things, when they were winning, when they finally started to gerrymander, which will guarantee us a Democratic majority in Congress for the next 40 years, the fake left among us, well, Democrats are cowards. Why did they sign that? Yeah, that really, really happened. And why I tell you, you must block these people. You must scream at these people. And then I had somebody try to attack me. They went to all of my different social media platforms and posted the exact same thing. This is someone from our community that hangs out in our community that attacked me by saying, "Oh yeah, you're Mr. Ride or Die Democrat. You're Mr. Vote for who you want in the primaries, but then after the primaries vote Democrat. You're saying people can't primary people." This and that. Never said that once. Not once. Not once. That's not what you're doing. If you have a candidate that you want to support, do it. If that candidate is challenging an incumbent Democrat, do it. That's what the primaries are all about. But what you're doing is shitting on the Democratic brand. And that kills us all. I can't get that through I've spoken very highly of Zoran Mamdani, even though I may have some differences with what things that he's done in the past. It doesn't matter. He's a Democratic candidate. He's full of energy. People are loving the guy. I've supported him from the get-go because Mario Cuomo is a fucking pig and shouldn't be anywhere near the mayor's mansion. I'm having a very hard time explaining to these people that are excited about Zoran Mamdani that shitting on the Democratic Party not only will cost Zoran Mamdani his race, but you will end our country. Because if you don't get people to the polls nationwide, you're going to lose everything. And they can't wrap their head around it. They're fucking stupid. They're political neophytes. They're fucking stupid. It's as though if their entire family lived off of the less expensive grocery store in town and they had to have it to live, but all they did was shit talk that one grocery store out of business. Instead of getting behind what they needed and working on things that you wanted to work on to make it better, they're just trashing it. And they can't wrap their head around it. They don't understand basic things like bandwagon effect. They don't understand motivation and excitement. The Texas Democrats just did an amazing fucking thing. Be proud of that. Celebrate it. They did. Chris, thanks for the support, my man. I appreciate you being here, brother. And I'm sure I just called Andrew Cuomo Mario Cuomo again. I do that all the time. That's just part of the show. That's just part of the show. But you get my point, though, right? Learn how to take a win. Learn how to take a win because, man, this just happened. This is exciting.
Who's ready to tear up this slip? Whose house? Whose house? Whose house? Never let them forget that.
Texas Democrats just ripped up those consent decrees, and now Nicole Collier has company on the floor. And they filed the lawsuit. This is going to get knocked down. You can't do this. You can't put a cop on these people. One of them has already threatened to arrest a Democratic politician here in Texas, one of the members of our house here in Texas. She was out for her morning walk, and the fat ass DPS trooper couldn't keep up with her and lost track of her. And then when she got back to her car, he was waiting all pissed off and sweaty. "If you ever do that again, I'm going to have to arrest you immediately." Fuck you. Fuck you, deputy dog. Fuck you. But yeah, that is what's going on here in Texas. That's what's going on with the Democratic Party. We've got to get motivated, folks. We've got to get excited. There are people out there just busting ass. I don't care if you got a beef with Gavin Newsom, if you're whatever your perfect personal beef is, go to Gavin Newsom's comms right now. There is if you don't like X, I don't go to X. I rely on Blue Sky because there are accounts on Blue Sky that will mirror what people post on X and bring it to Blue Sky. Go just do a search for Gavin Newsom on Blue Sky or Threads or wherever. Whatever platform you like to use, he is killing it, folks. He is killing it. You remember the memes that we went through that were going on? That has just exploded. That has just exploded. It is fantastic. And he called out the White House and Fox News. The White House sent a rep to Fox News, and Fox News was saying, "Oh, well, what Gavin Newsom? That is just childish. Look at these posts. They're just childish." And Gavin Newsom said, and whose posts am I mimicking? Wait a minute. You just said that when Trump does it, it's amazing. But when I mimic what he's doing and I mock him for it, that's childish. I mean, he's doing an amazing job of calling Republicans out. He's doing the kind of fighting that I've been telling you we needed to do forever as Democrats. This stuff matters. It may seem petty. It might. But you have to understand, folks, the failure that we had in the last election is we focused on each other. We did. We forgot. We've got to focus on the monster truck people. We got to focus on the people out there that don't do politics, that they only get sound bites. Those are the people that we need to bring into the flock. And it's going to be easier, folks, because of things like this. 1 second. Don't give up on the young folks. Don't give up on the young folks. This is out of Axios. Job market gloom hasn't been this bad since the Great Recession. That's a hell of a chart. That is a hell of a chart. People haven't been this negative about the job market since the last Republican collapse. You know, where Bear Stearns went away, where Merrill Lynch went away, the housing market collapsed. We had to bail out our all of our domestic automakers. Yeah. People have not been this negative about the job market since then. And Republicans are trying to pretend their way out of it. They just are. But they know they've got problems. They know they've got problems. You've got this. Folks, October 1st, a little over 6 weeks away, we've got to have another budget. We've got another debt ceiling that we're going to bump up against. We are screaming towards it. We are screaming towards our debt ceiling because we're running massive deficits under Trump again. Yeah. And they know it. Republicans know it. They know their house is on fire. And they know Trump is unstable. And they know the people around him are frickin' idiots. They are morons, and they're trying to do anything to keep their Titanic from sinking, and it's dangerous, some of the things they're doing. G. Willikers, good to see you. Glad to see new people in the audience, man. That is fantastic. I wonder if we already aren't too far gone. How can so many people be so disinterested in the fate of their country? I know, it is insane. It is insane, but more and more people are waking up. That's why these narratives are so important. That's why these narratives are so important, because these people aren't going to wake up and then go do a political deep dive. They can't catch up with you people. They can't. You've been paying attention for years. You know how things work. Folks, I can't get most people to understand on social media how being in the minority works. They don't understand democracy, just basic fundamentals of democracy. That's the level that a lot of these people that are waking up are at. They don't understand basic civics. So again, my message has always been, since the last election, you want to do a postmortem. You want to talk about, what do we do? What do we do differently? How do we win? How do we win going forward? Remember that who we're talking to, they're starting at way less than zero politically. So the messages have to be clear, concise. They have to be imagery that you can hold up in front of them, like federal troops in DC. You have to mock Republicans so that people can get in on the joke. Jordan, Democrats should shut down the government. Republicans may actually end up shutting down the government because that is the wrench they're worried about. Trump is spending like a drunken sailor. This is no joke. B. Terry, that is no joke. Sandwich power, absolutely. A guy hitting a border patrol agent with a sandwich. People saw that were not involved in politics. They saw that. They understand. Those simple narratives are so critically important. Oregon wine lady, the financial mess will only get worse if the feds bow to Trump. How long until food riots with produce already up 40%? This is what I'm telling you. Look, you've got to bifurcate it. You do. There's you as a human being and not wanting people to suffer. I know that. I know what you are. I know what your heart is. You're good people. You don't want people hurting. Okay, I understand that. Now let's have the discussion of what it means politically. That pain that we can't stop because we're in the minority, that pain is an opportunity. And the beautiful part is we're not responsible for any of it. They did it. They did this to you. I'm ordering Trump did that stickers. I'm taking those to my local grocery store and I'm slapping them on prices. Trump did that stickers. I'm telling you, that's the kind of narrative that works. It works with the monster truck crowd. And then you've got, this is something that's not for, I know y'all hate when I call them this, but they are, the stupids. This is not for the stupids. Y'all understand the significance of this. They're massing up huge amounts of debt. The economy is sputtering. People are losing faith. What is eventually going to happen when the economy, there's no denying it for I don't understand the investor class. I don't understand how they can be in such denial. I don't understand how they can be in such denial. They're literally headlines like this. They're literally headlines like this running in Fortune magazine. To me, this would be a 5-alarm fire if I was an investor. If you can't trust the data, these 13 warning signs will tell you the economy is in trouble. That's from August 18th, folks. That was 2 days ago in Fortune magazine. They know they can't trust the numbers coming out of the government anymore. They know it, but they're still going to pretend. You're still going to get Doug Burgum, billionaire Doug Burgum, who's going to go out there and lie on Fox News. Here's the thing. Reality has a liberal bias. It just does. The economic reality, you can't lie your way through it. You can't lie shoes onto someone's feet or food into a kid's mouth. You can't do it. And people are seeing it and they're angry. You're seeing it more and more on social media. These people that were like, this is not what we voted for, people are pissed and getting more and more pissed. And this is the insanity and the desperation. Tell me, you folks that are intelligent, that understand things like bonds, you understand what it's going to mean to our debt. These people are racking up huge amounts of debt, which means they're going to have to make bonds more attractive to sell them, just to cover normal debt. When you add in an economic collapse on top of that, they're going to have to get radical with what they do to try to sell our debt. That's going to spike interest rates, which is going to just be, it's if you had somebody on the ground that needs CPR, but instead of giving them CPR, you step on their neck. That's what spiking bond yields are going to be. We're heading into stagflation. This is why that word is so terrifying for people that know what stagflation is. And they're so desperate. They're thinking, oh, I know how I'm going to save the bond market. Bitcoin. We're going to allow people that sell crypto to back their crypto with bonds. That'll save us. We're going to back crypto with bonds. That'll save us. Folks, if you were old enough to have followed the 2008 collapse and know, Jeremy, thanks for supporting the show, brother. I appreciate enough to follow the 2008 collapse. You know, Republicans try to blame it on black people and subprime loans. That's what they tried to do. But everybody that wasn't a moron knows it was derivatives. Bullshit made up investments. They were selling mortgage risk as though it was a stock, as though it were an equity. They just made up an investment. And they were selling these derivatives that had no real value. They had no value. It was just whatever value they placed on it. They're doing it again, but this time with crypto, which is the exact same thing as a derivative. It's just a made-up investment that only has the value that you imagine it has. It's not backed by anything. So they're going to try to tie that to our bonds. Imagine how that's going to weather a recession, which is already one of the worst kind of recessions you can face, which is one with stagflation, both inflation and a dying economy. Imagine what having bonds tied to crypto at that point is going to do to interest rates. The stupids won't get that. That is a complex conversation to have. Hell, I just cliff noted it, and it's way more complex than your average person can. They just don't. It's not that they don't have the capability to learn it. It's just not in their wheelhouse. This is the kind of desperate things that the people around Trump are doing because they want to defend their national sales tax. They wanted to shift the tax burden off the wealthy onto you and the poor, and they did it with tariffs. Tariffs are just a national sales tax. It's all it is. It's a backdoor national sales tax. They want that to succeed. They want that so bad. They want you to pay for everything, and you cannot squeeze blood out of a turnip. You do not have the income disparity is so huge. You can't. You just can't. You would have to sacrifice you and your children's entire lifestyle to do that. But they don't care. They don't care. They want to do this experiment. They think they can, through tariffs, create a national sales tax, and it'll be okay. And because they are who they are and what they are, we all have to endure this economic experiment until it collapses. Rusty Shackelford, Trumpflation brand everything Trump. Yeah. Get those. You can buy them online. You can buy them on Amazon. Trump did that stickers. Put them everywhere. ET, one thing that I have found affecting was going on standing at Walmart exit, asked people, how much more is that cart costing you this month than last one? I didn't give them dim party info. Yeah. And you'll identify the absolute nutters because they'll be like, nothing is cheaper, even though they know that they just paid a fuck ton more for their groceries. But yeah, you can't bullshit your way through it. You can't do this. This is what's been going on. This has already hit the poor. The economic, poor folks know the recession's here. The recession is here. You have rich folks. This is Reuters, folks. This isn't me. This isn't somebody just making it up, just telling people, oh, hey, you know, they're pretending. No, this is fucking Reuters. This is the wire service. Can the rich continue to prop up U.S. consumer spending? You don't write a headline like that unless you know non-wealthy people's consumer spending has plummeted because of inflation. It's already happening, but they just want to pretend it's not. And no, the answer to that headline is no, it cannot continue. Thank you. No, you can't. You can't. This is something the billionaires, when they talk to each other, they did everything. They do everything. You would think that they work on their own factory floors the way they talk. Elon Musk thinks he is a super genius that has built every Tesla and launched every rocket. They think it's gross to insinuate that the only reason they have money is poor people give it to them. And because they've got that false narrative in their head, we got to deal with shit like this, where you've got the bottom half is already in recession. But the rich are going to pretend. They're going to whistle through the dark while they're watching housing prices go south. They're watching housing prices go south. All of their investments in real estate are collapsing because these folks can't buy your fucking houses because they're astronomically way too expensive because you never paid them more, so they can't pay more. Now, inflation has made what little you do pay them worth less, so they're buying less of your shit. Oh, yeah, they're the ones that buy your shit, not you. That's not how this works. You can't take a link out of the circular economy and everything's okay. And they never understand this. They never get it. Rich people will delude themselves every damn time. Rick Appling, this is how Republicans caused the Great Depression, gambling in the stock market with money they didn't have. Amen, brother. Amen. It doesn't matter that we've seen this over and over and over again in history. It doesn't matter. Randy Oliver, if we have to pay all the taxes, then less money to buy their stuff. They're cutting their own throat. You know that. I know that. Every person out there that has cut back, I don't know about you, but me and Mrs. Texas Paul have already cut back. You know, one of the things that we used to do when we don't live in town. For us to go shopping, we have to make a day of it. And one of the things that we would do is we would have a meal in town. Usually lunch. And we've already had the conversation. No more. You eat a sandwich before you go, fat boy. Everybody, are you people cutting back? I know I already am. I know there are many things that I've said, oh man, I want to buy, but I'm not. I'm not buying that. But they're going to sit there and they're going to tell you the economy is great, while the very magazines, the very publications that they get their information from is telling them this. More than half of industries are already shedding workers, a telling sign that's accompanied past recessions, top economist says. And let me tell you something, folks. You're going to start hearing about things. I told you there are things to watch. I showed you where to go track ships so you can see how the ports are doing. There are all kinds of indexes, red flags, canaries in the coal mine. You're about to hear all over the news about the men's underwear index. That's a thing. Men's underwear index. This is setting off red flags everywhere. This is what it is. I told you there's red flag. There are canaries in the coal mine that you can look at that are real world examples. People buy underwear. People buy underwear all the time. It's a necessity item. It is. But it's a necessity item that nobody sees. When men's underwear purchases drop, without fail, we're in a recession. It's just one of those things that when they go back historically, they look at numbers, they say, every time there's been a recession, men's underwear falls. So they created an index called the MUI, the Men's Underwear Index. And when it goes south, this is the kind of thing where I'm telling you, rich people have information that you don't have. These are the kind of things I'm talking about. You're about to see this all over the freaking corporate media. The Men's Underwear Index. Yeah, it's falling. And the last time it fell, 2007. William G. Atheist, FYI, Canadian inflation rate out at the AM, it's too low, 1.7%. We don't have tariffs. Yeah. This is a self-inflicted wound. That is part of what we're talking about here in the United States. This is all self-inflicted, unnecessary. This is because they wanted to run an experiment where they took New West Bill. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you for supporting the show. Where they ran their experiment, they thought, hey, you know what would be really cool is, all these people, they want roads, they want sewage, they should pay for it all. Why should I have to pay for it just because my company benefits off of all of this infrastructure way more than everybody else? There's more of them. They should pay for it, not me. Well, how can we get them to do that? If we tax them, they'll revolt. I know. We'll tariff everything. Then they'll have to pay for it. But it's not a direct tax on them. We'll just lie to them. We'll tell them other countries are paying for it when they're the ones that are paying for it. And it's just a sales tax on them. They'll never know. That's all this is this experiment. The same people that sit there and tell you over and over and over again, you can't tax us, it'll suppress us economically, it'll hurt you, are doing just the inverse of it. They're taxing everyday Americans at a higher rate, somehow deluding themselves into believing this won't hurt them. Glenn Kaneko, I'm no financial wizard, but I won't touch Bitcoins with a 20-foot pole. Bitcoin is a scam. I do not have a nickel in Bitcoin. Not a nickel. I will not do it. I will not invest in anything that isn't backed by a corporation, profits, or a government. I just don't. That's just a rule of mine. That is. There are people that claim they've made a lot of money at it, but I don't know. I don't know about that. I know every time that somebody creates an investment like that, it ends up costing the nation trillions of dollars. Meanwhile, they're claiming tariffs are so. They're claiming tariffs are so great. Well, then why is this happening? If you're making so much revenue from tariffs, why are our trade deficits ballooning? That is $291 billion in 1 month. 1 month. Finding my Zen. Thanks so much for being here, Texas Paul. We love you and your show. Well, thank you. I appreciate you for being here. I appreciate you for supporting the show. Cannot do it without you. 1 month. You're talking about $1/3 of $1 trillion. But they're still trying to sell that tariffs are going to pay for it all. This sales tax that we slammed on you when you weren't looking, yeah, you're going to pay for all of it. But no, all that's happened is everybody that's in the working class has already cut back. Their recession has already started. Peter Campbell, Mr. Global, is discussing the attempts of private equity companies buying public utilities. Yeah. When you've got that much money, when you're not taxed, when you aren't taxed, and you develop these huge gulfs of money, you run out of places to put them. And you start doing things like buying up people's water rights, buying up public utilities. And then we fall into oligarchy. It's the theme of every dystopian movie. Gordon Marble, when National Guard is federalized, they get full benefits, just like active duty troops, like pay and health, if they're federalized for 31 days. And they won't do that. They'll cut them orders for 14. And then they'll rotate them off. That's why you're seeing red states are now sending Guard troops. They're not adding to, they're rotating out so these states don't have to pay benefits. They're fucking the Guard troops. Mr. Knutson, according to ChatGPT, the big beautiful bill heavy on tariffs and broad tax cuts will not make life better for the working poor, just even poorer. Yep. Folks, you're getting a taste of what they've been doing to us here in Texas forever. Yeah. See, they just cut property taxes because Johnny Gotrocks didn't want to pay taxes. Those are the two taxes. We don't have an income tax in Texas. We're a gigantic tax dodge. Everybody all over the country, all the billionaire oligarchs move here. Well, they don't really move here. They just buy a little, shithole that they claim they live in. And then they live in California, or they live in Connecticut, or they live in New York City, or but they don't live here. But they claim they do because we have no income tax here. We're a gigantic fucking joke of a tax dodge. Now they're doing it to you. You're getting a taste of it. They're going to try to run everything off a sales tax like they do here in the state of Texas. And it's just not going to work. Pablo Garcia, hello, Texas Paul. Please enjoy a sandwich on me. Us big boys have to stick together. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. So glad to see new folks here. Mr. Garcia, I am so glad that you were here, my friend. Thank you for supporting the show. I'm very grateful. No, Rory, trickle down has never worked. Never. Trickle up works like crazy. I try to explain this every time I have a conversation with rich people. You make poor people have resources and money, you'll get it because you're the shark in the tank. You feed the bait fish, the sharks get fat. They can never, ever understand that. Don Huber, Grover Norquist said, why should I pay for a road I don't drive on? He wants every highway, a toll road, another tax. Yeah. These people are sick. They are sick. They have no concept of us or the benefits they get of being us. They think they did it all. George Allen, just like the Old West, the fight was for water rights. That will be happening again. That will be happening again. And folks, if you don't understand how bad it's going to get for you, let me explain this to you. I've told people this over and over and over again. I catch a lot of shit from locals about saying this because, Texans, one thing we do have a lot of is pride. We do have a lot of pride. And if you say something even remotely negative about the state of Texas, they're going to hate you. They're going to hate you. And they get pissed at me because I don't sugarcoat shit. I don't. So when I tell you this, believe me, Texas is a poor state. If you took the tax dodge away and stopped counting that billionaire money that doesn't really exist here, see, we run off of sales taxes and property taxes. They buy a little shit box in Frisco, McMansion in Frisco, or like Elon Musk did, he got a little bitty tiny shack down in Boca Chica, Texas. But they count his income as how rich Texas is. Problem is, he don't spend it here. No, it's fucking hot here. He goes and flies someplace comfortable. That's where he spends his money. So we are nothing but a giant tax dodge. If you stop counting that money that doesn't get spent here as wealth, yeah, we're a dirt fucking poor state. We're Mississippi. And yeah, you can't bullshit your way through it. You can't bullshit your way through it. It's from money-wise. Another one of those canaries in the coal mine that I was telling you about to tell you that the working folks are already in recession. One of the things they watch is how distressed households are. And what they mean by distressed is, are you defaulting are you paying your bills? And they've got an entire series of things that they look at, all the way down to, are people Googling how to borrow money? And those people that are Googling how to borrow money, are they already massively in debt? And yes, they know that. They have your data. And this is happening. Florida is now the second most financially distressed state in the U.S., topped only by Texas, Google helps reveal. Yeah, you got a bunch of people here in the state of Texas that thought they were doing great, that are in massive freaking debt, that are trying to borrow money like crazy just to cover their bills. That is another huge indicator that we are in recession. We are in the recession. This is the kind of economic data wealthy folks look at. That's why they seem, oh, well, how did he know? How did he trade when he traded? How did he know to move from cruise stocks to Campbell's soup? How did he know? These are the kind of things that they pay people just to sit and analyze all damn day. They pay somebody 60 grand a year to sit here and read this data so that when these red flags go off, when you have people ass deep in debt, Googling, how do I borrow more money to cover my debt? That's a huge red flag. That is a huge red flag. And that's what's happening. And the top 3 states, by the way, Texas is number 1, Florida is number 2, Louisiana is number 3. All of these red bastions, Florida, the president's state, and Louisiana, the Speaker of the House's state, already has a population that are in distress. Folks, if we can just not shoot ourselves in the ass, we can really do well in this next election and turn this shit around. But we have to stop the circular firing squad people that do nothing but have attack Democrats Tourette's. Monkey Twins, Super Sticker, thank you for being here, brother. I'm glad to see all the news reporters out there. I'm truly grateful. Gail Brownell. In other countries, their currency collapsed. Stores had scales to weigh silver. Get some junk silver. I'm telling you. I am telling you. I am hoping that we can elect Democrats. Gizmar, thanks for supporting the show. I am hoping that we can elect Democrats and it doesn't get to the point where we're having to trade commodities at the grocery store. V-Man 29397. Trivia. What is the only place under U.S. sovereignty that doesn't operate Democratic Republican parties? Guam. Guam. Did I nail it? I believe it's Guam. So, yeah. From domestic issues, I want to start talking about foreign policy a little bit because you've got Trump that's going to have a meeting. Puerto Rico. I did not know that. And I love Puerto Rico. I think you learn something new every day. I love spending time with you folks. I love spending time about you folks. But yeah, look, Trump is already trying to downplay his upcoming meeting. He claims he's going to put together a meeting with Putin himself and Volodymyr Zelensky. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. And it's not going to happen because Putin doesn't want it. Putin doesn't want it. Look, I want to throw a little history at you. You know, everybody hears you say the word the name Neville Chamberlain, and people think they've got a kind of a grasp on that. You had the Neville Chamberlain approach to World War II, and people kind of think they know what that means. But like most things, it's a little deeper than just, placate the bad guys, it'll be okay. That's what people kind of think the Neville Chamberlain thing is. No, there's no need for war. We can negotiate our way around everything. And there are people, especially the wealthy, that still to this day will argue that, Neville Chamberlain was right. If we'd have gone his route, World War II would have been so much better. We could have negotiated with Hitler, and all these people wouldn't have had to die. What if? But it's insane. It is insane. It is insane. It is. But there's a little more to it than just negotiate. See, Neville Chamberlain had faith in the corporatocracy. Business interests would rule the day. The broligarchs, they would hash it out. That was his belief. Because, folks, that's what war is. It's when you take this foreign policy away from the broligarchs and their negotiation and giveaways and their interests, and you just fight it out. You just fight it out. At that point, the broligarchs have really kind of lost control. It's whoever wins, wins. And they don't like that. They really don't like that. And folks, again, I don't lie to you. And I think you kind of like that. Even when it's not good news, there's not going to be peace in Ukraine. There's not going to be peace in Ukraine. When the Democrats lost the last election, the idea of peace in Ukraine died. And this is why, folks. This is why. Let me give you a real world example so you know I'm not just talking out of my ass. This is Scott Besson. And he's talking about something not exactly Ukraine related, but it is Ukraine related because he's talking about Russian oil. But we're going to talk about the Neville Chamberlain corporatocracy view of the world. Damn it, I closed the wrong one. I had a video and a still up, and I closed the wrong one. Just going to have to take my word on it. This is what Besson's. You know what? I'm not going to do that. I will just find it for you. Let's pause for a minute. This is the beautiful part about a show that's this long. If we take a 2-minute pause for you to go pee and do what you want to do. There we go. There we go. Took me 10 seconds. Forgive me for that. I had a couple of them pulled up, wanted to find the best video, and I ended up closing all of them but the still.
Let's go back and look at the history, though, Becky. And look, China importing it is suboptimal. But if you go back and look pre-22, pre-invasion, 13% of China's oil was already coming from Russia. Now it's 16. So China has a diversified input of their oil. If you go back and look now, I believe India had less than 1% of their oil, 1%, and now I believe it's up to 42. So wow. India is just profiteering, or they are just profiteering. They are reselling. They've made six.
Okay, he was talking about tariffs there. But what he was really talking about was the Ukraine war. For the Ukraine war to have to end, people have to want it to end. And I'm gonna make some broad statements here. I'm gonna say Europe this and India that and America this. I'm not talking about the people when I say this. I'm not talking about the people. Take a second to hit the thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button while we're doing this. And if you're watching this on replay, open that panel right there, the chat panel, so you can see what everybody's saying here. But look, when I make these statements and I say India this, or I'm not talking about the people. I'm talking about the oligarchs, the wealthy, and the government. He was just talking about China and India and their interests in the Ukraine war. Folks, India doesn't want this war to end. India is buying oil dirt cheap from Russia. Now imagine this cup. The coffee in it is India's oil, okay? The coffee in this cup is India's oil. They're selling oil out of this side of the cup, but they're buying oil dirt cheap from Russia at discounted prices. That's why they're now buying over 40% of their oil from Russia. Their oil purchases from Russia have increased over 40% because they're buying the oil at a discounted rate. And then they're dodging, saying, oh, well, we're not selling Russian oil. We're selling our oil out of this side of the cup. This is our oil. We're using this oil that we're buying from Russia, but we're selling our oil. Well, you couldn't sell your oil if the Russian oil wasn't flowing into the cup. So yes, you're selling Russian oil. You're buying it cheap and you're selling it high. And you've made hundreds of billions of dollars doing that. So let me ask you something. Knowing that fact, do you think India wants this war to end? Of course they don't. Of course they don't. They're making a fortune. They've never been happier. Okay. No, so I see your comment there. Okay, China. Robin Hood. Okay, China. Let's talk about China. Scott Besson in his comments there was just talking about, well, we had to tariff India because they were doing this. Okay. Their answer is they're going to tax you. They're going to put a sales tax on you which is what a tariff is. It's nothing but a backdoor sales tax. They're going to put a sales tax on you to keep you from buying Indian goods. Well, wait a minute. What does that do to the economy? It depresses the economy. Okay. We're going to put a sales tax on you to keep you from buying Indian goods, to punish them for circumventing our sanctions, buying Russian oil cheap and selling it on the market and making a profit. They told you in broad daylight. That's what they're doing. They're intentionally passing a tax onto you so you will not buy goods, which means that is just destroying the economy. That's all that is. That is destroying the economy. We're going to suppress our economy to punish India for buying Russian oil cheap and then selling it on the market for a markup and making hundreds of billions of dollars doing it. That was their answer. I know it sounds fucking asinine and insane, but this is the craziness of the Neville Chamberlain mindset. These are the negotiations the broligarchs were going to work out. You were going to pay more taxes and they were going to fuck your economy and your family. That's what that means. When I said there's more to the Neville Chamberlain mindset versus the Churchill mindset, there's more to it than just appeasement. It's who takes a fucking. Okay? That's just India. Let's talk about China for a second. We tariffed the shit out of India, right? We just did all that shit. They punished you, fucked your economy to tariff India, to stop them from buying Russian oil. And India said, well, we'll make money on the Russian oil, but we're going to lose money on the tariffs. So let's negotiate this out. We'll stop buying the Russian oil and we'll just make our money selling cheap shit to the United States. Well, China said, thank you. Appreciate it. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Because China just bought up all that oil. All those contracts that India just stepped away from because of the trade war and that's what it is. It's a trade war that Trump has started with India. They put a gun to your head and told India that they're crazy enough to pull the trigger. And India's like, fuck, they really are crazy enough to hurt their own people. So they started a trade war with India. India's cool with the war in Ukraine because, as soon as this dust up is over about trade, they're going to go back to buying Russian oil and selling it and making money. But in the meantime, Xi and China, oh yeah, baby, they're doing it openly. They're doing it openly. And when I say openly, I mean openly. China tells the EU it can't accept Russia losing its war against Ukraine, period. So we're going to buy all the damn oil from Russia we want to make sure they don't lose to Ukraine. They don't want this war to end. They don't. They're going to prop up Russia. They are. The most important paragraph, go back and read that article. The most important paragraph in it is this one right here. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi told the European Union's top diplomat that Beijing can't accept Russia losing its war against Ukraine, as this could allow the United States to turn its full attention to China. An official briefed on the talk said, contradicting Beijing's public position of neutrality in the conflict. Oh, you mean that they're human beings and they actually had a financial interest in what's going on? Of course they did. Again, the Neville Chamberlain mindset. Let the broligarchs work it out. So you've got India and China that both have a vested interest in not letting Russia lose. Well, you've got Europe that's got a vested interest and the United States that have a vested interest in not letting the Ukraine lose. No matter what Trump says and Hegseth and all these Russia-loving, sycophant, ball-guzzling pieces of shit say, the oligarchs that write the checks in the United States, in Europe, have a vested interest in Ukraine not losing. But they don't want them to win either. See, Ukraine is a massive breadbasket. And one of the most protected industries throughout the European Union, one of the stickiest negotiation points is farming, the agricultural industry. Yeah, farmers will show the fuck up with their tractors at the Capitol steps. They will drive their tractors up on the Capitol steps. It doesn't matter if it's Poland. It doesn't matter if it's France. It doesn't matter if it's Germany. It doesn't matter. The farmers will show the fuck up when things go south for them. No European country is ready to have a peaceful Ukraine competing in Europe. They don't want that. And that's just one interest in one industry. We're also talking about the mining industries. We're talking about, there are so many financial interests, and none of them are aligned towards peace. The United States, China, they don't want Russia at peace. They want Russia stuck in this quagmire. Why? Russia's been taken off the world stage. They're no longer a global player. Look what happened in Syria. As long as they're tied up, they're not as big a pain in the ass. Look what's going on in Africa. You're having peace breaking out in several countries in Africa because Russia's not there to back one side anymore because they're tied up in Ukraine. Putin doesn't want peace in Europe or peace in Ukraine. He wants Ukraine. He wants control of all of their industry. He wants the Soviet Union back. So Russia doesn't want peace. Europe doesn't want peace. The oligarchs in the United States don't want peace. India doesn't want peace. There's one country in the world that seems to want peace in Ukraine, and that's Ukraine. They just want to get to work. So yeah, I mean, I don't mean to disappoint you, but yeah, there are no fucking good guys here. There just aren't. And until we stop the Neville Chamberlain approach and go to a Churchill approach where we say, fuck it, we got to fight this out. Until we elect a Democrat that is going to say, you know what? See how you like it when there's F-35s and F-22s in the air in Ukraine. See how you like it when the United States fucking Navy, the largest Navy in the world, that's bigger than everyone else's Navy combined, roars its ass through the Bosphorus Straits and takes control of the Black Sea. It'll be ugly, just like it was in World War II. But it'll be the only way this actually ends. Sorry. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but yeah, nothing's going to come out of this. Trump's not going to get his Nobel Peace Prize. Nothing's going to come out of this. No peace anyway. What's going to happen is it's going to slowly die down to a Cold War where everybody's claiming they're winning and some business can be done, but not 100%. And as far as Ukraine coming into NATO, that's not going to happen. It is what it is. It's like everybody in the world wants Gaza. Everybody wants this peaceful outcome for Gaza. This beautiful, I 100% say it all the time. I support a Palestinian state. They deserve autonomy. They deserve the dignity of self-determination. Nobody really wants it. None of their neighbors do. None of their neighbors do. They don't want to give up the land, and they don't want to deal with a Palestinian state. As much as they talk shit, they want the fight. They want Israel and the Palestinians tied into a fight. And that's the Arab neighbors. You want to change it? Elect people that you can influence. It's the only way. It's the only way, folks. It is the only way. This is why you get so many people that fight against Democrats. Because their financial interest, there's a reason the corporate money got up from the Democratic Party and walked away. We don't get a fraction of what the Republicans do. Despite what the fucking morons on Blue Sky or Threads or one of the other social media platforms will tell you. I laugh every time I see one of these because of the stupidity of the statement. Corporate Dems. What fucking corporate Dems? The Democratic Party has taken a few scraps off the table. And the Republicans are eating filet mignon with their fucking corporate overlords. You want to change it? Elect Democrats. They're the only people that will listen to you. Well, folks, that is what I have for you today. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting the show. I know your money is very hard earned. You're the only reason I can do this full time. You're the only reason I can sit and read news all day, every damn day, so that I can have this information to bring to you. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you find it useful. Enjoy. Oh, wait. Oh, sorry. Anthony Saints. Thank you, sir. Hey, Texas Paul, have you heard of the letter to Canada MP for BC? It's just yes. Fucking dipshit up in Maine senator sent an insulting fucking letter to Canada. Yeah, I heard about it. Oregon Wine Lady, thank you for always being here. Thank you for supporting the show so much. Trump wants to go to heaven. Let that sink in. He knows he's losing. Like the soup Nazi said, no Nobel for you. Fight back. Don't let hope die. Exactly. My message of the show wasn't to discourage you. It is to tell you we can change things for the better. Doesn't mean we can do everything, and we shouldn't give up because we can't. Fight for your children. Fight for your children. Fight for a future that's better, not perfect, because you can't have perfect. No one will allow it. Skeet Sayre, yep, just look at the media landscape. You're right. It is very indicative of what I'm talking about. Look at the media landscape. That'll tell you how much corporate Dems are. Victor Harshman, thank you for being here. Thanks for supporting the show. I am grateful. Carl Rossi, thank you, sir. Thank you. I appreciate you, folks. Enjoy some Texas cities at night.